I've always felt different. I've always seen things, but when I tried to express them as a child, I was always told to ignore it.
There were people that I didn't know that came to me and said, I have this message that I keep getting that I have to deliver to you.
All of a sudden, out of the shadows, a homeless man just jumped right in front of me. And he said, I'm a soul just like you.
I love it. I wanted to understand the universe and who and what we are and what are we doing here.
We're all part of this amazing soul wave tapping into each other.
This was a major life changer.
You are a light. You have helped me a ton. Thank you.
You've given me the courage to live more from my soul.
Millions of people are awakening.
So wake up with Michele, the place to hear the best-selling authors and experts in the fields of cutting-edge self-help, personal growth, metaphysics, and spirituality. The soul path of awakening.
Understand what living awake is.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Awakenings with Michele. It's great to have you here. Live on Podbean. I love it. Hello, everyone getting in the chat. Hope you guys can call in to say hi, call in for a reading, to chat, to hang out. Wow, okay. I am fired up today. Going to be doing a deep dive. Let me know in the chat how the sound is. It should be good, but just I'm on a different mic, so I want to make sure that the mic is sounding well. So, second half of the program, we have a great guest, also a great friend of mine as well, colleague and friend. Some of you know of her. She's been also a client for many years, doing quite well. And we're going to be diving in a little bit. Aubrey Bregman will be on, doula, author, and life coach, and quote unquote doula to the stars. She works with a lot of celebrities, which is great because she gets her conscious influence out to help people with conscious birthing and parenting as well, and works a lot of people with it. TV, film, I don't know, movies, acting, music, whatever. But very good reputation. But we're going to be diving in a bit, have a nice chat, and talk a little bit about what I'm fired up on. You know, I always say that Spirit, you guys can call in. You got the link. I always say Spirit lines things up. A lot of people say, well, God, Michele, how do you do these, predictions that you do? And I'm like, I really kind of not read the room of the universe. That's a big part of it. Reading the room of the universe, looking at the signs as to what's coming is a part of it, is a part of kind of getting that acuity or the ability to see the trends. And of course, if you're using divination tools or guides or tuning into God, Spirit, that helps, also. But you can see the signs of what's going on. You see it in astrology. You can see what's happening in the world and how it is happening in the cosmos, so to speak, what cycle we're in, right? It's that metaphysical, esoteric axiom, as above, as so below, as within, as without. This is the law of correspondence. So anyway, so we're going to chat a little bit about that in spiritual discernment. I also want to remember, I can't believe I've been doing these lives and I forgot to mention, of course, because I just get caught up in the moment and I forget that there's things that I want to share. So one of them is Journey Beyond Form, shamanic interplane work I'm doing this Saturday. And of course, if you are a member or part of that community, we're all part of a community. We're all part of this great awakening, this opening. But if you happen to be on Patreon, there is a discount code that is sent to your inbox. I'll resend it. If you want to go beyond form into soul alignment, this is going to be a very powerful, transcendent experience. I don't even know what to call it. It's not an event. It's not a workshop. It's not a sound bath. It will have sound. It will have energetic and sound transmissions with it as well as information and guidance from the guides, the oversouls. That's the reason I'm doing it for this month, because and by the way, it's on Eventbrite. There will be a link in Patreon and also in my stories, and there's a link, I believe, in my Instagram bio, if you want to find out more about it and see if it's something that resonates. If you can't make it in person, you can just sign up, reserve your place, and I will send you the link to it. If you are doing it in person, bring your questions to the guides. We'll have a time to do that as well. So yeah. Also, I'm now on Substack also. So kind of really wanting to reach out more because we're in a shift. Some of you heard me talk about it, this great reset that we're going into. It's also a time reset, our concept of time and what we're going to do with our time, or in the amount of time that we perceive that we have in a day or night, is changing. How we operate. You're probably, a lot of you may be already feeling this change. You're definitely going to feel it about mid, July. And it does have a lot to do with that Uranus going into Gemini, Saturn and Neptune in moving into Aries, Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries. And the Pluto in Aquarius is like, think of that. That's very foundational. But the engine to all this really is coming in with that Uranian energy. Just like when we had Uranus and Taurus, it changed a lot of our idea of ourself and our value, how we value ourselves, others, what is of value, the monetary system, the stock market, money, the idea of money. We started seeing changes, and we're still going to see that a bit, especially in that Taurus, Gemini, the retrograded, motion. That'll be happening. But the thing is to prepare. And I'm going to say for a lot of you, because I've been getting a lot of content creators, business coaches, people that want to be of service, maybe have even gone through long programs. I'm just going to say, please don't fall for these kind of, not just get rich quick kind of schemes, but become a life coach, become a business coach. Some of these programs are based on old information. They're based on information of the 90s and to mid 2000s. That's not going to work. This isn't the time to do long, drawn out programs. So you might have to sit with something a little bit, or reassess, or try out certain things. If you feel really excited about something, sometimes I know that can lead you astray, especially if you don't know your pitfalls of your emotional, patterning. But try to think short term, think bridging, think short term building, think transition. How do I support and transition? Some people are creating these very elaborate things, and so much is changing, and what people need is changing, that you're going to get locked in something that it really isn't serving you. You want to be a lot more flexible and adaptable at this time, right? And learn to trust your intuition. We need fail safes. We need guardrails, so to speak, that says, hey, let's see, Monopoly, you can call in. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I was saying that, hey, Walter, hi. Hi. Good to see you. Wait, mute till we get on. I want to just set this up. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you in the chat. Okay, so fired up because this is like, those of you that know me, friends, work with me for a while, this absolutely is like major pet peeve of mine. One of the reasons I got out of the, you're going to hear me in the background getting my tea, that I stopped really going to a lot of yoga events. And because I've been doing this 30 plus years. So I'm back in the day. I mean, I started yoga when I was 14 and meditating and being a channel and a psychic and seeing ghosts and spirits and blah, 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 blah. This has been my realm. So what I really don't like, and you're going to see more of this. You've heard me talk about this, the fall of the influencer, the fall of the celebrity, the star, the reality star, the movie star, the basketball star, where mainstream people are just following these people blindly, and this is the cult. Unfortunately, one aspect of Aquarius does bring false prophets, gurus as teachers, but not gurus that don't do their inner work, that think that they've made it somehow, cults, just weirdness in all kinds of groups, families, dynamics, just weirdness. Just you're going to see a lot more weirdness. You're going to see a lot more perversion, to be honest. You're going to, and it's not that this stuff wasn't happening before. It's just that it's coming out. It was kind of like we're all getting a big pimple, or what do they call it? Zit, pimple, a spot, they call it in the UK, popped, a boil. This stuff has to come out. And this is also part of the rude awakening, that you get disappointed. Something one of my teachers taught me, I have had some great teachers that just didn't let me get away with stuff and said, work on your ego, work on your inner child, do the inner work, go to therapy, go to counseling. But one of my teachers said at one point, and any good teacher will tell you this, you will go beyond me, you will bypass me. If you, and my clients do it all the time, and I tell them, you at some point, even if they keep working with me, they're going to go beyond what I can do. It's like the child that happens with the parents. That's our survival. So if I'm a really good teacher, they're going to go beyond, whether it's with the relationship, money, life, consciousness, maybe not in my spiritual gifts. Everybody, it's like, if I go to piano class with somebody that's a prodigy or a great musician, chances are I'm not bypassing them, but you guys know what I mean. They're at that level. So you still have your soul gifts. You're still going to have this uniqueness and shine and this amazing ability that may not be, might not be transcended, but to some degree, at some point, everyone, even yourself, is going to disappoint you. Your spiritual teacher is going to disappoint you. I'm going to disappoint you. Oh, I can't believe Michele said that. I can't mistake. Like that chick, that listener that wrote me about, I can't, I've studied with you, Michele. I've been listening to Awakenings for so long. You're amazing. I was part of your Patreon group, and I can't believe you don't want talking about kids to be able to transition or get the operation in, elementary school, or when they're 4 or 5 years old. I said, no, I do not. No, as a teacher and a therapist, no, 18. Because people, I know plenty of people that, for me, back in the day, they were one thing and then they were another, and then they ended up being something else. No, you got to not put that on a child at that age. There's a reason it's a child. The brain isn't even fully developed. So I'm not against that, but no, I'm against having that in the school, having the conversation. Can you have an after school program? Yes. Can a therapist talk about it? Yes. Can a counselor talk about it? Yes. Can a teacher talk about it? Yes. But to put that on top of kids when they have so much going on, to put that, and by the way, they're just doing it to be famous on TikTok, most of them. So, but anyway, so I disappointed that person. I didn't live up to their ideal of Michelle's so hip and cool and progressive and a psychic channel. And so of course she would want this to happen. No. So that disappointment is natural within ourselves. And, Sandra, you're getting your tea too? Okay, cool. I'm getting my tea. So one of the things that I've talked about forever is that, and probably those of you that have been listening for a while, I've talked about it earlier on in previous podcasts, but there is something in the spiritual community. It's everywhere in places where there's people of quote unquote power. But there is something in the spiritual world that gets distorted. Everything gets distorted to some degree on the earth plane. I get it. But this power, now it's mostly men, not all. I love men. I love my men. It's mostly men, but there's women that do it too. Believe me, I could name some. Teal Swan, I could go on. But I've seen it as a therapist, as a coach, as a person that's been on stage or behind the scenes with a lot of these spiritual teachers, quote unquote gurus. Probably some of you know where I'm going with this. Aubrey Marcus doing this, which I've never been drawn to him. They get a little bit of information. Russell Brand, which there's actually a video about Russell Brand with Katy Perry talking about how he's going to start a good way to make money. This is when he was kind of floundering in his career, wasn't doing the stand-up, wasn't getting the roles, was to be a spiritual teacher. Osho did it. I can't think of the other yoga guy. I see this, especially as a therapist and as a psychic channel. I've had clients, I've had celebrity A-list clients that got hoodwinked by some yogi that's a guru, male, and, got screwed over and took the pill, drank the Kool-Aid. And womanize, it's used to, it's used to ensnare. And why this happens is people are not connected to their inner core, their inner knowing. They can't read the BS meter. And it's all coming back around again. There was a lot of this in the 90s to mid 2000s. I mean, it was so bad. It was so cringe. And I actually went on a date once with this guy. And this friend of mine set him up, and everybody wanted to go out with him. And he's so he does this. He's got money and and he's very spiritual, Michele, blah, 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 blah. Well, we met, and totally not my type. Totally granola, not my energy, a friend of mine, acquaintance friend, they had previously dated, and she's, he's amazing. We're still friends, close friends. I'm always a little leery when people, exes are too close friends. That's a little boundary issue. That's a little red flag. Anyway, we met. I'll never forget. We met at Swami's and Encinitas. Fine. How are you? We had a nice chat. Totally, I was not into him. Totally no. And then all of a sudden he's like, do you want to get some wine? I see it coming. Do you want to get some wine and walk on the beach and this and that? Or, I love giving massage. Blah, 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 blah. No, I need to go back. I have clients or work or whatever I was doing. So I get back. I get this long ass email. Very, clearly very charged. He was very charged. Oh, good, Jody, you got your tea. He says, I can still remember, it just cracks me up. I can't remember the whole email. It was just it was very like peace and love and consciousness, but putting me down, obviously, because I wasn't attracted to him and I didn't want to get the wine and walk on the beach. And then he says, I don't feel our higher selves showed up in our meeting. I would love to get together with you again. Higher self to higher self. Maybe walk on the beach and talk again. I'm thinking, I don't know where your higher self was, but mine was there. That's exactly what I wrote him. I said, no, thank you. I said, I don't know about you, but my higher self was there with me. My higher self is with me wherever I go. Later, I talked to a friend of mine. I said, listen, I would rather have somebody with a pickup line in a bar. Let's go do blah, blah, blah. Then roses and let me give you a massage and healing work. And if it leads somewhere. So there is so much of this, unfortunately, in the wellness, health, healing, spiritual yoga community. That's why sometimes I just back off. I mean, it's just so, and it's couched in a way that I feel a connection with you. We're soulmates. I had one person, this yoga, and some of you probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to necessarily name names except for this Aubrey Marcus I want to get to. And I want to get Lori's thoughts on this. Tiger root, no gracias, peace and love, and out the door you go, right? I know. And the way they always put it is like there's something wrong with you or you're not connecting. Or like last week when I was talking about that psychic, what was her name? Sonia something, Choquette, kept telling this client of mine that we were soulmates and meant to be together. And then she had the nerve to say, Michele, she's just afraid of a deeper commitment or relationship. And I'm like, no, first of all, I don't date clients, never have. That's a major no-no, or students. And knock on wood, hope I don't in the future, but I haven't all these years. And no, if I'm not attracted to you, it's just no. It's just like, no, it's not. I have no problem jumping into something. But I remember this, a funny thing, because I have to, when Lori comes on, because we talked this morning about this because I was so fired up. So I get these string of clients that all are with this one main yoga guy. I never went and studied with him. And this guy would get another girl. He had one woman that was booking him clients. And they started dating, living together. And I think she's as a child from him, and she's working like a horse for him. And he's flying around the world, getting all the acclaim. So great. Then we work together, and she says, "Oh gosh, I can't believe it's over. Or how the karma's over." And I was like, "What happened? What's going on?" She told me the story, and I thought, "Oh my God, I don't tell her this, but I'm thinking I have other women clients that are going through this with this guy." This guy goes to India on a retreat with a younger girl. They always get the younger, wafy version that is more easily manipulated. He has the nerve from India to email the other woman that's been holding him down, booking him, working like a horse for him, a slave. He emails her and says, he's thought a lot about this, meditated, contemplated. Their karma is over. We've reached a level of all that we can learn together. It's time now to disconnect. Oh, by the way, he would still have her work for him, right? Booking, which she did. I told her she shouldn't, but because she asked my opinion, I said, absolutely not. He's cheating. This is not karma is over. And I did meet someone else, but isn't that the karma was over already? Well, he brought the other girl to India. I was telling my friend this morning, and she says, "Oh my God, he did that to so-and-so." And I was like, this guy, this was the thing. Then a client I'm working with, A-lister, and she fell for the thing. And I said, what? And I'm thinking to myself, how did you fall for it? Because you're so A-list, beautiful, amazing, everything. And you fell for this. And my friend reminded me, they don't have a connection to their inner truth, their inner core. So I'm like, oh God, now hearing this Aubrey Marcus, you can look it up about it. I'm just so fired up about it because he's now bringing in he's doing all these workshops, and they're doing the ayahuasca. That makes things worse. I'm not a fan. My teachers, my gurus, in fact, told me to stay away from drugs. Not that I did experiment when I was a kid, but there's too much of this Iboga, what's the froggy medicine, ayahuasca, DMT, and it's a spirit, it's a bypass. It's a mental, emotional, spiritual bypass. It's like that great saying by Lao Tzu that says, meditation without study is folly. And this is what these people do. But study without meditation is laborious. The knowing yourself, the inner work, the therapy, the hypnotherapy, we're looking at your relating pattern, working with the emotional, psychological aspect. These people all bypass that, and they do all these journeys, plant medicine, and it's a trap. It's another trap. They might as well be smoking a lot of pot or drinking a lot of booze, and just because it's that mindset, of bypassing. So I just want to say there's going to be so much of that. And the lesson is know thyself, know your pattern, your emotional state, that's why I have projection perception on my website. You can copy and paste for free. 5-step emotional clearing process. The basic one, you can copy and paste for free. You can do the advanced one. I don't know how much it is, $10, whatever it is. I don't know, on my website. Or I'll send it to you, because that's the earth plane. And so people get caught up in these trips, these cults, and I'm glad it's coming to the top. I'm glad more people, it's like their psychic tuner is off, the ick factor. They see charisma as a connection to God. Now, why are people able to do this? That was one of the questions I had. And then Monopoly, I want to bring you on, especially if you've got some input on this. This Aubrey Marcus, his wife Vilana, she wanted to be, I'm going to give it just a snapshot. You can Google it, because I don't feel it's about them. I just feel they're wounded. When I would look at him before all this happened, I thought, boy, this guy's got a lot of ego. He's using his money, and people are believing him. Because, by the way, gang, I've worked with people. You can fool yourself into thinking, oh, I'm seeing spirits. Oh, I'm having this. You can fool yourself, just like you can be in a bad relationship and fool yourself that person really loves you. Oh, they hit me, but they just lost their temper. They really love me. Oh, they never call. or they've ghosted me, for 6 months, but now they came back around at 12 at night to have sex. But no, it's not a booty call. They're having issues, and we're twin flames, and we're meant to be together and work through this. No, we can fool her. And I fooled myself, in the past. We don't have to get into examples, but actually, no, I've not ever fooled myself. The way I fooled myself in the past was I thought I could help the person. Okay, even though my therapist, my teachers, my mentor told me no, but I had to learn, that's a type of fooling. But the fooling of, oh, this person really isn't thinking this. So anyway, Aubrey Marcus, not so much about those three people. The wife, Ilana, says, oh, I love monogamy. I'm so glad to be in a monogamous relationship. I feel safe. They've been together 7 years. It's so cliche, the 7-year itch. He's had trouble keeping it in his pants, being monogamous. He's been poly and polyamorous, and 7 years now he wants to be poly. He got a message from God. I can't believe it that he put that in the podcast. He got a message from God while he was at the gym that to go on Raya, and he was going to meet someone. Well, he did a younger version of his wife. And it's interesting because the wife's name is Bailana, and the new girl is Ilana. I'm telling you, our higher self wants us to get these lessons so much. The way it's orchestrated on the astral plane. That's also why I'm doing this thing on Saturday, because we're working on the astral plane. All of this is happening in the astral body, the sticky body that corresponds to our emotional body. We have to clear that sucker out to get the higher vibrational frequency, the more healthy, optimal, soul and heart connected, aligned, attuned versions of things in our life. We have to clear out that astral plane, our own individually and the collective. So anyway, now everybody's up in arms because they've thought, oh, Aubrey and Vilana, they're the best couple in the world. They got the podcast, they do the ayahuasca, they do the drumming, they do the kumbaya, travel around the world. He's fairly good looking, has money, the prestige, he has a business. She does this, and she's the drummer in the way. And everybody's now disappointed because, oh my God, he's basically cheating and bringing this girl in. And he says he has a vision, or not a vision. He spoke to God, and God told him to go on Raya. I don't know. I've never gotten messages like that from God, but anyway. And then God told him, so they start dating this girl. They bring her in to do the poly thing. Within a week, they have the ayahuasca. The girl had said, oh, I'm confused. I'm just out of a relationship. I'm trying to heal. Red flag, red flag. Don't get in a relationship. Don't do poly. Don't give your power away. Do some inner work, some therapy, journal, get to know yourself, and then make your decision. So total misuse of power. And then he says on his podcast that God told him, he had a dream and God came through, and this Stefano Mateus was there. Another one I just do not agree with. They're all posers. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call it out. That God came and said, I need to impregnate you both. And they're, oh God, a message from God. I'm thinking, okay, now are we, what is it? What is it with the Jebsen, whatever, the Mormon thing. Anyway, it's all the same play. It's all the same moves from the same playbook. I'm not a fan of poly. I've never seen it work for anyone. I know tons of people that have done it. I had a boyfriend that did it before we dated for a short period of time. He told me horror stories. I had a semi-acquaintance friend, a friend, but more of acquaintance friend that told me stories, and I witnessed. It just seems like there's a lot of power move. I mean, listen, we can barely get it right with just two people and getting to know yourself. Then I just see all kinds of misuse of power with that. Again, that's my perception. That's what I've experienced all over the world. I've met them all, not seen it work. What's the message here? Why does this happen? And then let's get on with you guys, Monopoly. Here's why. One of the reasons is these people are actually not connected to source. They're like energy vampires. Okay, that's why they do that. That's why they go for the quote unquote the younger version of something, whether it's the Adonis male or the maiden Aphrodite type woman. These people that you think have all this power or empowerment, they're using your power like a mirror. It's your power, it's your energy, it's your reflection, it's your light. They're beaming to you. It's like if I had a mirror and I'm using, it's like a boom, I'm using the light, the reflection on me. You think it's on me. It's a huge projection. And it's a misuse of power. You see it a lot with yoga instructors, teachers, certain ones. So what happens is that it's part of the glamour realm. It's part of the realm of, it's Neptunian. That's why this Neptune and Saturn and, in Aries is very telling. So what they do is they take on your energy. You don't realize it, but that's why after a while of being in these kind of relationships, you notice the partner looks drained. They've either gained a lot of weight, they're puffy, they're drinking a lot, overeating, or they're like so thin, weight, they're like gaunt. It's because they've been with that vampire. So they're not connected to source. That's what you have to remember. They're not connected to their soul source. They're not connected to source. They're using other people's light. They're using your light. They're plugging into you. So they're shining bright. That's why they attract a lot of people with a lot of light. But the people with the light don't realize they have the light within them. So the key is to connect into your own inner knowing. You have intuition. Heal those body mind issues, heal your body wisdom, heal those times where people told you, oh, they're nice, just don't listen to your intuition. That's the only thing that's going to do it, because when you're centered in self, you don't get caught up in those things. Yeah, Isabella, we're so powerful we don't need drugs. I agree. Oh no, I was surprised they bought Matthias Di Stefano in. He always struck me as more level-headed. No, he's not. No. Listen, I got such flack, Reverend Michael. I saw his shenanigans. What was that guy in Brazil? And people were, oh, why don't you like him, Michele? You don't like any. The guy turned out to be a pedo. The one in Brazil, like Father God or whatever, Father John. No. Anyone that doesn't say, what do you think? It's your light. It's your inner knowing. How can I help you? I can give you a reading. I can do all that. And I love doing that. But you got to bring it back to you. Any teacher that's not doing that, and if you feel any cringe or ick, or you feel too attached, those are red flags. Sunray, I always hope that I'm never that person that's doing that to others, being a vampire unconsciously. No, they're conscious of it, gang. No. They know what they're doing. No, they know what they're doing. There's a time we all know what we're doing, and it's such a way that we kind of shut the curtain on it a little bit. But if you really dig, you can get to the motivation. No, Sunray, you are not that. You are not that. Okay, we're gonna bring on, let's see, Monopoly, and then we'll get to Monopoly. Hello, to Lori. Will be on. Hey, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Excuse me if I don't know
Great.
how to use this stuff too well. I feel pretty retarded because it's all new, and then it's so many other changes that's going on with software and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I actually wasn't even prepared, but I guess one question I could ask is, it's sometimes hard to trust my intuition at this point, because it feels like I'm not getting clear messages. I can tell you that there has been good things that's happened that kind of made life easier,
Right.
but I had to cut out a lot of people,
Yeah.
and because I noticed a pattern, like it would be a lot of people that were quite egotistical, and then I would look at myself. I'm like, I'm the one doing most of the work here. Like, if whether it be like music or something, somebody would be interested, and then I'll get these egotistical personalities, and I'm like, that's not like my vibration. I'm not like that. Like, I just create, and the people that I've done well with, we just created, and we didn't it wasn't really all this big ego stuff. And anyway, I had to cut a lot of people out, and more money and stuff started coming in, all this other stuff. And so I kind of followed that pattern, but right now, like, I moved to a completely different place, and then sometimes I'm here and I'm like, am I even doing the right thing though? Like, because I want to be able to share the new stuff that I'm making, but the world, well, the online space with all these platforms, like I know they're shadow banning me. So it's like tricky. I don't want to put my work into something that is going to waste my time right now. And I'm like, I've been holding back, but I'm making all this stuff, which is good. But it's just like, I don't know. It just feels like everywhere it seems like a landmine. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do right now. I mean, I could chill, but I can't. I don't want to chill. I want to just keep making stuff and share it. But it's just, anyway.
There's your answer. It'll rise up. One of the things that it's going to be kind of noisy, and it has since about, I'd say 2011, 2012, and it's noisy out there. But do your stuff and find your way, because we're going into this major shift where a lot of what's coming to the surface or rising or is not being shadow banned is not going to be taking hold, even that shadow banning. So create from that place, create from that place of, this is what I want to do. This is what I feel like doing. This is, I mean, I almost thought of, okay, why am I even going to bring that up? But I was so fired up. And that's your passion, where you're fired up. That's your passion.
Right.
That reflects your purpose. So I would say just keep doing it. Just put it out there, because it will find a way. One of the things right now with the planetary energies is it's going to be a lot more like water. Things are going to come through by attrition. So things that just rise to the top right now or have a big breakthrough, they're still resonating on the old paradigm vibrational frequency. They're still based on the old consciousness. They're not yet based on the new emerging consciousness. So that shift hasn't happened yet. So a lot of things are going to be falling by the wayside. I'm starting to see it a little bit with, like I said at the beginning of the program, like with people that what they're trying to do, what was working in the 90s, in early 2000s, but that we're still in that little bit of that phase. So I would just say keep to your path and sharing and putting stuff out there, wherever and however and whatever, and just look at different ways, almost like you're just pulling that megaphone from the sky, and you're just pulling it in and just saying your piece and doing your thing, and just keep at it, because everyone has a placeholder in the universe. I call it a bookmark. Everyone has that spot. And so right now it's about really staying in your lane, staying in that groove. Lori and I talk about that a lot, staying in your lane and making it the cushiest lane you can, make it the biggest lane, maybe, I don't know, decorate it, but really stay in your lane. Because what's happening, a lot of people are not in they're not in the right lane. They might be getting a big pop, they might be getting the glow up, they might be getting the money right now, but that's not going to hold in the new paradigm. That's not the energy of the new emerging consciousness. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I understand. I mean, I stayed doing what I do. It's just been like kind of sad to see people I really like that mean well, they're being like shadow banned. I'm like, why is it all the good people? Like,
just for the now, but I mean, decorate your lane more. I don't mean not stay in it. I'm not saying you don't stay in it. I'm just saying decorate it more. Make it, make the vibration stronger.
That's what I've been doing. Like in the background, I'm building all this stuff, putting it together. It's looking better. And it's just, I just still have that stuff in my head. I'm like, these platforms and all this stuff is so bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like Instagram. Like people follow me to hear my music, like my art. That's why they follow me. And so it sucks because I'll post something to gauge what they're doing, and I could tell every time I post my art, they try to hide it from the people that even follow me. I'm like, that's fucked up. I'm like, excuse me for the language. It's like, I put a lot of work in what I do, and then it's like.
But part of it is the old game, because it's like the advertisers, what's gaining traction is old news. That's how you know if something's very viable. If there's a lot of chatter about someone or something, it's old news, because the media, the advertisers, the platforms, they they put what's older. It's not yet peaking. It's been around. So yeah, you got to wait for that peak. Thanks, Monopoly, for
All
calling
right.
in.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Lori.
Hi, Michele. Can you hear me?
I can. All right, gang. Okay, we got Sunray in the chat. Hold on, Sunray. Get to you too. All right, gang. I want to let you know for this awakening conversation. Now we're going to be diving in with Lori Bregman, doula, empowerment coach, life coach, author of Mindful Mom to Be, Mama Stay, and also the Doula deck. We're going to be diving in a bit with her. I want to get, so let's see what Sunray, have him come on to. Hey, Sunray.
Hi, how's it
Hi,
going?
you're on with Lori and me.
Hi,
You're on.
Lori.
Hi.
Pleasure to be on the
How are
show
you?
and to pop on and say hi. And
Good to hear you.
yeah, likewise. Quick shout out to Monopoly, maybe.
Oh, Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Yeah. Do you know his
Message I
music?
heard, just keep chugging along and create your own platform. That's all I have to say.
Oh, you could, Monopoly. You'd have the technology. Very good idea. Oh, Monopoly put a punch in the chat. Oh, that's a good. Now, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think that kind of coincides with what you were saying earlier in your channelings of like underground systems or networks. I think this is time for us to kind of dive deep and kind
Lori,
of
maybe that idea that you and I talked about, the one that I channeled years ago.
Oh, yeah.
That Google wanted to. All right, let's talk Monopoly. Maybe that's it.
I mean, it's just, I think about that, but I'm like, it's already a lot of work doing this stuff, like the media stuff I'm doing. It's so much right now because it's all new. I'm like forcing myself to learn new stuff as well. So it makes it even tougher. But like I always do think of, having another platform. It's just that takes another.
Well, let's put the intention there. One of the readings I did today was a lot. I'm doing the June pick a card, was intention, focus, and follow through. So who knows? Maybe someone comes in because these platforms, all of this is going to be falling by the waist or shifting. It's going to be changing. So
I'm so sorry. The next message that's coming through is you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just reinvent the body.
Ooh, yeah. I like that.
So like, because I hear what you're saying, it's so much work, but it's kind of like, well, it doesn't have to be that much work. It has maybe the same amount of effort, but less work.
Now, I give you a punch, a boom for that, because that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the program. That's the reset of time, our concept of time, and what we can do within that time is changing. So it used to be something takes so much time. That's changing and expanding. We're moving much more in a timeline that's very expandable. It expands where you need to, contracts, it's flexible. So it's going to be bending. We're going to be more bending time. So based on our will center, and how our little will is aligned to divine or cosmic will. Very cool. So now, did you have a question? Because I want to see what Lori's up to. Do you guys have a question? Sunray, do you have for me or for Lori or
for either
both
of
of
you?
us?
Just really tapping into this upcoming Mercury, Cazimi, and Gemini. If you had any messages for the collective, and kind of tapping into our ability to plant seeds, or allow new beginnings to flourish.
Okay, this month, a lot of it is about actualizing energy, taking action, moving, whether it's mental with that Cazimi, Mercury kissing the sun, if you want to call it that way. It literally means that, the conjoin. Moving forward in your idea, and also looking optimistically. Like, even if you have to look at, Lori knows I love to kvetch. I call it my telenovela moments. But do a little kvetchy, a little telenovela, but then you got to look at what's working. What do I know? What do I have? What's working? That optimism is really going to work for people this month, especially as we have, Jupiter, Mars going into Leo, and Jupiter going into Cancer as well. it's wellness, it's feeling better, but it's also our mind with that Kazemi. It's like, how am I taking care of my mind, my mental body? Also, not just the physical, but my mind. Am I getting set in these negative thoughts all the time? Am I looking at the glass as half full, or I can get another glass? So that's a very powerful way to connect in with the energy this month. And it's a lot about intuition and decision making. Also, I did a whole post on the numerology this month on Patreon, so you might want to look at that. But yeah, our intuition and the ability to choose, because Gemini says choose. It's lower mind and higher mind. A lot of people think Gemini has just to do surface. No, it's the twins. So we use, like, all of us right now, we're doing a little chit chat. We talked a little about little Aubrey, in his little world and his little acting, but then we went to the higher frequency. And so it's almost like gossip. Gossip is back in the day being by the the water cooler back in the day in the office, and then if you go even earlier back in the day, the town square, right? Or the men are playing checkers or backgammon, or they're meeting in the pub, or they're meeting, by the wishing well, or the women are meeting by the river to do the clothes. Of course, they have a little, oh, did you hear about so and so? Did this happen? Did that happen? So that's what Gemini teaches us. It's conversations. It's banality. It is the lower level. It's gossip. It's cocktail talk, cocktail hour. It's chit chat. It's it's writing.
Be like the exchange of information.
Yes, but we can bump it up. But you have to get in there. You have to build the rapport. Gemini is a lot about rapport building, also similar to Scorpio, also in that aspect. But it's like being adaptable, mutable, in a way that allows you to connect with someone. And then where do you take it from there, or the ideas yourself, or even your ideas, in the world.
Wow. Okay, cool. I'd like to hear a little bit more about like how Lori might be able to touch base on the integration of this into their life. And
yeah, well, Lori, you have I think your Gemini moon, so she's very adept at that, at different ideas. So yeah, Lori, hello. Jump in.
Hi. I don't really know. I mean,
well, she's not an astrologer, but the thing is, you're very adept at new ideas or researching something, being able to be around different types of people. You're pretty much a gatherer. Also, I would say you're able to gather people together. Which is all Gemini. It's also Aquarius. You've got those 5 planets in Aquarius, so she's very Aquarian with groups. And we got Fax Porcupine in the house too, which was funny because called in last week about how do you trust somebody, or how do you know if somebody is a good psychic or practitioner or therapist, whatever. We talked about that. Trusting your inner knowing, seeing the red flags and yellow flag. And now we have this situation that we're talking about today with Aubrey. But yeah, you probably see this too in your field, Lori. I know you do in the yoga community, because you and I talked about it this morning, but because you and I are always talking about people. I remember, who was that? There was some culty person that was trying to get you involved.
Oh yeah. And totally. I had a couple of them, and because
did she say you're meant to be with somebody? They ran that thing or said something to you?
No, I've said this. There was people, Michele, this happened so many times with me, because I have such spiritual discernment, where I have such a strong sense of self of what feels right and what doesn't. Like, I trust my intuition. And these people wanted me to work with them, and they were like a cult. And I was like, I don't resonate. And they're like, she's the one I couldn't get to work with me. She's scared of me. She doesn't want to work with me. And I'm like, no, something's not right. And that happened again with another guy that he's like, she's the one I couldn't get. The one I couldn't get to work with. And I'm like, because something's off with you. Like, just feels off with you. And like, and you know me, like, I dabble. I'll like dabble with different things and get what I need and then get out. Mm-hmm. But, and when if things start getting weird, or like something doesn't feel right, I just like leave. But I think that's the thing too, is that there's such a misuse of power sometimes, in all different areas. And if you don't have that spiritual discernment or strong sense of self of what feels right for you, or if you really don't look within and you're looking without for somebody, look outside of yourself, you're going to get swayed up and caught up in all this stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and that's the thing. It's not, I think it's the way we do stuff, because it's like you want to dabble, you want to study with other people, you want to train, you want to go to people's workshops or go to a retreat, you want to do things, you want to study different people. It's just that you don't want them to be the end all be all. And the putting on the pedestal, all that projection. And that's what I think we're talking about. Because of course I can think of so many things I did and I tried, but I never did it in a way where this thing they're going to help me. I'm going to learn something. They're supportive. I'm appreciative. But I never said, I'm going to listen to everything you say. Like culty, like even with Scientology and Dianetics. And when that guy told me that I was like what do you call me? A dilettante. He goes, "Oh, you're so skeptical. You won't believe anything." And I said, "No, I believe stuff, but I'm not stopping what I'm doing and Jim Jonesing and drinking the whole Kool-Aid thing." It's that kind of stuff that people, and again, it's just coming from that not knowing, because it takes time to be responsible. It takes time to do your inner work or research something or someone, or, but yeah, I think it's going to be more and more important, especially as we have Pluto and Aquarius, because that lower level Aquarius is about cults. A higher level is individuality within community, but thinking of the individual, not just thinking of the community or the group. It's definitely not about self-sacrifice, but the lower level it's like that button to belong. I just want to belong to something or someone at any cost. I think that's going to be something we got to kind of watch out for in the collective,
And I don't think one person can be your everything.
No,
as you grow. And I mean, I like the work I've done with you over the years is amazing, because you've never, you've always put it back on me, where why don't you go searching and figure out what, you know what I mean? You never said, if you don't do this, you'll never have this, or that's something you have to watch out for too, because that's a big red flag when these healers or people that you're going to, and they try to control you, I think is something, without making you beholden on them, instead of helping you find it within yourself, and
I think that's so true, that finding it within ourselves, that we have to, and that's what I think it was at, what is he at, Fax Porcupine, that he called it for revisiting it. But how do you know? You should be able to, maybe learn something new with someone, or maybe if they're predicting something, it's something you don't know. But it should be something that you also kind of resonate with. And like you said, Lori, I agree. It should circle back around to you. One of the things I love that you do, Lori, and a lot of people, and by the way, if there's music or something in the cars in the background, maybe make sure you guys mute yourself. You have to deal with this a lot, which I'm so happy, because one of the things that the guides had always said, that education, children, the medical field, these systems would have to change. And some of the stories you told me of how mostly women, but whoever, both parents, sometimes mother and father, but are treated in the hospitals, I was like, I'd heard stories, but the level of trying to be just downright sometimes abusive, disrespectful, not empowering. And of course, those doctors grew up in a certain system. And of course, we are the system. Individuals comprise the system. But one of the things that you do is really how to empower them to make their own decisions, or better decision, and not be, sounds like, mowed over by a lot of the doctors in the system.
Yeah. And I don't think it starts with the doctors. I think it starts with the healthcare system. And because
That's what they're
where,
taught, right?
yeah, well, it's if they have no choice. If you're going through insurance, if you can't get in, you have 10 minutes with them. They just want you to kind of like do what they say because they need to get their office hours in, and they rush the process and try to control and then, gaslight a little bit to just get you to do what they want, which can be, not all doctors are like this, but ever since the pandemic, I definitely see, and since healthcare is just really horrible, it's just not, it really needs to change because people, everybody's going out of pocket now, and not everybody can do that because they just need better care. And they, people are waking up and want autonomy over their bodies and
but do you think
health.
It's getting better within this? I know some of the stories you've told me, you really empower them to be empowered within the system. And I know some of the doctors you work with are more conscious. Mm-hmm. They're consciously collaborative. You guys there's more higher consciousness. But do you think the system is changing?
No,
okay.
Not yet. I think the collective's waking up. Like people are saying, I want autonomy over my body. I want, to be heard, respected, and, that kind of stuff. And so they're waking up, which I think if everybody wakes up and starts demanding and, is educated and walks into their birth, trusting their body and doing all this stuff, the system will have to change eventually. But, people are doing a lot more home births because of this, or they're going out and network to find care providers that support them. Or they're just like, if they feel that the hospital is the right place for them, which you have to birth where you feel safe.
Right.
They're educated to know that they have options and choices, sometimes in a system that doesn't make you feel like you do. And that's, I think, what doulas and the work that I do is always letting them know that they have options. Like, I'll never tell somebody what to do. I'll never like make a choice for somebody, but I'll always let them know that they have options and choices and support them in that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's, first of all, what is a doula? How would you describe?
A doula is a non-medical care, care provider that basically supports the mind, body, spirit throughout pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. We prep you for birth. We all work differently. Like, I'm mentoring a ton of doulas right now. And, I help them find their own special sauce or way of doing things because there's not, a one size fits all for doula work. So we all work differently, but basically we support you through the pregnancy, birth, and beyond. And, we do everything from helping you breathe to like comfort measures during labor to preparing you for birth. Some of us do nutrition. Like, I have a background in nutrition and mindfulness and life coaching. So I blend all that into my practice. And then in the room, like, I massage people. I, help like navigate, advocate for them. Again, remind them that they have choices, and just like a space holder. And we're that one person that they built this relationship with. So as the nurses come and go, and the doctor walks in and catches the baby at the end of the thing, we're that one person who really knows them and knows the person or the couple, and can really act as that, one stable person that's there to support. And we work in collaboration with doctors and midwives. Mm-hmm. So, I usually show up way before a midwife shows up or a doctor shows up.
Yeah. Also helping with the emotional, it sounds like, and navigating. Got a couple questions. Sunray saying a couple things. I love this. Incredible description. Options versus directing or telling someone. So you're giving them options. And then the other thing is, let's see, can some doulas work with death, like end of life doula, and are doulas always female? Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, absolutely. There's death doulas that is, the same way we come in is the same way we go out. It's the same portal. So I work on the birth end, but I have some friends that are death doulas and they work on the other end, which is helping usher the soul out.
Oh, that's interesting, Lori. I never heard it that way. Same portal.
It's
ushering the soul in and ushering it out. Oh my God.
It's the same thing.
Cool.
feel the energy. It's the same thing. Like you lose track of time when you're like, when my dad was dying, you're with them and you lose track of time. And then same thing in birth. You're in a portal. It's you can see the wonky, almost like the wonky energy, you know, that almost like wavy like energy in birth. And no, doulas don't have to be women. I mean, back in the day, doulas were like, it was women supporting other women, but more men are doing some doula work, especially death doula stuff, because it's, some women, the uncomfortableness of maybe they don't feel as comfortable with men in the room. And it's just something about nurturing, but it doesn't have to be. I know a couple of male doulas that are definitely doing the work.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
Very
they're
cool.
great. Yeah.
Wow. Sunray, you'd be good at that, actually. That's very cool. I love that idea with the portal, though. I never thought of it that way. It's true. The same way you come in, you're going out, you're ushering that energy in.
Yeah.
And
I like to welcome them into the world. It's not, I thought about doing the death doula thing, and then I was like, oh, I don't know. I like kind of like welcome them to the world.
Yeah. It's kind of, but yeah, you see it. So one of the things, because I feel like your work transcend, and I know you had done that Rooted for Life program as well. So you're really working with the consciousness and also conscious birth, conscious parenting.
Mm-hmm.
How does this translate, like from what you've seen from working in the because you're out of the system, but you definitely work. I couldn't do it. You go in the system. You work with the hospitals. You got to work with their rules and this and that and that and this. What do you suggest for people to? Because like Earth is a system, and we've been talking about this whole thing with the spiritual discernment, all these kind of crackpot, guru types and their shenanigans. How do you avoid that pitfall, or how do you do that? What do you suggest, and how do you suggest people do it within a system also, whether it's medical, hospital, or other system?
I think they need to know what they're getting into. You know what I mean? Like know what if you're choosing to birth in the hospital, here's what you're getting into. This is what where you have choice. This is where they're going to make you feel like you don't. This is where you have options. Have conversations with your care provider way before you give birth to see if it's the right fit. And be careful who you surround yourself with, because it's like us as doulas, we trust birth. Mm-hmm. We trust a body to give birth. We trust the baby to find its way out. And you have to find a care provider that feels the same, because if they don't, or they're trying to manipulate you or control you, they're going to get into your head and give you reasons like promote fear. Basically your baby's getting too big. I mean, or if you don't get induced by this time, you don't want a dead baby, do you? Well, how can you unhear that? And that's what this stuff they say. And it's like, in the meantime, I'm like, you don't make a baby bigger than your body can handle, where babies get stuck because they're in a weird position. You're not going to know unless you try, just empowering them and reminding them what they're capable of. And that's the people don't realize. They're just like, oh, but the doctor is just going to come in and catch a baby. I'm like, they get into your head the whole journey. So, I think finding your care team is really important. Really important. And surrounding yourself with people that you trust and that are, not projecting a lot of stuff onto you.
There we go. Because I really see a correlation between what we're talking about, like with this whole spiritual discernment and people getting in these weird, I don't know, things, just games, weird cults, dead ends. There's such a correlation, because to me, what I'm hearing you say, this should be for all your life. Like even you saying, what are you getting into?
Mm-hmm.
What are the ramifications? How does your body feel? Now, do you ever have to work with, because I'm thinking like in these situations we're talking about with these culty types and stuff, really unhealed, unhandled people that are doing misuse of power. A lot of what I'm hearing is how do I want to say, rehabilitating and then reconnecting with our body wisdom or our intuition. Because so many of us, we had it pushed out. I remember as a kid, my mom saying, like, I didn't want to talk to somebody or I didn't want to go hug them because I was a kid. I was, starseed. I was like, what? No, go, be polite, be polite. And it's like so many children are taught, don't listen to your intuition, don't listen to your mood. Like maybe you're tired, in a bad mood. Why do you have to go hug somebody or give them a kiss or say goodnight? Why do you have to go, you know what I mean? Or hello? Why this thing of being polite, by taking people's power away, children's power especially, and it starts early. So do you ever have a situation where you're working with someone and you're seeing, oh my God, they're not connected to their inner or their intuition or their body. They're not connected to their body, or their body's giving it a message. This isn't the right person or the right doctor, or like you said, something gets stuck in their head. Do you ever have to work with someone in that way?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like you said, a lot of the work I do is very emotional and like a lot of mental, emotional, and physical stuff. But yeah, I always tell people, like, this is not a time to be the good patient, which you've been taught to do, and like put this into somebody else's hands. You want to trust the people that are supporting you, but you also, like, you're never going to have this day again in your life. And, I think that, this is something that you need to really own, because there's a lot of misuse of power going on that you don't know anything about. And sometimes their best interest is not, it's kind of what works for them a little bit more than what works for you. Yet, so I'm very like, telling them, because they've been taught, like, be the good potion, do what the doctor says, and that's not always, and then I definitely have them follow their intuition. This is my big thing, like tapping into their intuition. If something doesn't feel right, like, let's look at this. Let's talk about this. Because, if you're walking out of your doctor's appointment or your midwife's appointment feeling really bad every time you leave, something's not right there, or disempowered, or like deflated, or stressed or angry or upset or sad. Like you should be walking away feeling inspired and excited and uplifted and heard, So it's definitely tuning into the way they feel. And some people dismiss it because they're so brainwashed that they have to do what the doctor says, be the good patient. I don't want to get in trouble or not have them like me because I spoke my truth.
Yeah, see, the good patient, the good girl, the good boy, don't cause, ripples. That's a whole thing we have to, shift from and heal. I get being compromised, being able to be, cooperative. But what you're talking about is like across the board. We're like indoctrinated to not speak up. I mean, I have it sometimes where I'm like, oh, I dread having to ask for this or say this or do that. But it's in my right,
Yeah.
It's like, so I can only imagine going through something that can be, that has so many unknowns as pregnancy and then birth. I would imagine that you could just shrink back into that, almost like maybe you just want to give your power away just to do it the right way. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think too, the way you do birth is the way you do life. So if they're not speaking up in their regular life, they're not going to speak up in birth. And I also will advocate for people, but I really try to get them to do it because it's more empowering for them to use their voice. And then there's clients that I have that are just like, Lori, I just want to do what the doctor says. And I'm like, okay, this is, then I support them in that. It's kind of, but the ones, I try to be like, hey, this might, and they're like, I know, I hear you. And thanks for telling me, giving me an option and sharing, but this is what I feel like is right for me. And I'm always going to support somebody in what they feel is right for them, So
yeah, you do have that ability. I don't know if I could grow in that area because it's so hard, but I guess you don't want to add extra stress too. If they really want to do something a certain way, you're supportive of that. And you say your piece, right? You say what you think or feel, right?
I definitely educate them. And I always say this, I'm going to educate the crap out of you. I'm going to educate you so you're going to walk into this so informed. And then whatever choices you make, I support you. Because if I educate them and they're like, Lori, this feels really right for me. If I say, no, that's not right for you, then how are they ever going to trust themselves as a mother on the other side of that if I'm saying what their choices or what they feel like their truth is wrong. So again, I won't work with anybody that I haven't educated. Somebody tried to hire me just to do the birth the other day, and I was like, nope. I need to build a relationship. I need to get to know you. I need to educate you. And it just works so much better because I don't like to take somebody in blindly.
You want to work with them for a period of time and
Yeah,
and get to know them.
Because I get to know them, and then they get to know me, and then we can trust each other. There's a trust and a knowing, and I can take one look at them and just be like, something's going on. I can see that face, and then I can, what's going on in your mind right now, and have a talk with them. And I know their fears, I know their traumas, I know their intentions, I know their relationship, I know the dynamics, I know all the different things that I can help navigate and hold space for. So it just works a lot better that way. Yeah.
And what do you say? Because this morning when we talked about the spiritual, it was funny because I mentioned that, and I don't remember his name now, that big yoga guy. I don't know if he's still around, but he was sleeping with everyone and this saying, oh, it's our spiritual connection, twin flame, karma. When they cheat on you, or karma's over, this and that and this. So much of that. Why do you think that happens? And whether it's in that spiritual community, the hospital, the system, because it's a system. I mean, every time an organization has a system in place. And I think one of the things I'm going to share, I think that we had this uneven. Yes, you might be learning from someone and there's respect and admiration. You might be learning. There is a hierarchy, because if someone knows more than you, I don't think hierarchy is a bad word. But let's say people coming in, what do they need to do, especially on the spiritual path? We get people that are newly awakening. What would you suggest to them? Because you said dabbling, doing this and that, people are going to be studying. What's a good mindset, or maybe principles, or I don't know, way to think, to navigate when you're studying, or when you're doing something new, or learning something new, or trying new things out? What would you suggest?
I would say, like what you said, don't put these people on a pedestal. Learn from them, get what you need, but know that there's humanness involved too, right? And so don't put them on a pedestal. I would say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Learn from people, and if something doesn't feel right, you can leave, and to trust that feeling you're getting. If that I always say, it felt icky. Something feels ick. I got the ick. It's just I walked away feeling ugh, there's something that's telling me something's off there. I think too, I see such a misuse of power sometimes, where the ego takes over instead of that's and
yeah.
Again, if anybody's trying to keep you beholden to them, if you don't work with me, or if you don't do it my way, you're not going to get what you want, or it's not going to work, or you can only access this if you work with me. And I think that's a big red flag, because then you're keeping them beholden on themselves. And also, if they're not if they're saying what you're doing is wrong and making you feel bad about your choices and things that you're doing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I'm hearing this, and I'm going to say, as a therapist and a coach, sometimes you do know more, and if they may not get something if they don't handle. So it's kind of a fine line. I don't know, because on one thing, you're listening to someone, especially if you're paying them, and they know more, they have results. You do need to listen to some degree, or follow through on the homework or growth work or whatever. But there's something there within the approach. I don't quite know what it is. I think I'm trying to think of myself when I'm in that situation now.
Yeah, but Michele, you've never, when I've done this stuff when I've worked with you in the past, you would definitely call me on stuff, but never made me feel bad about things or less than.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. That's the okay.
Or less than. And I would, definitely do like some of the homework. You sit with it and do the homework. I followed through, and I mean, I trust you because you've never left me astray.
Okay,
Too.
so it's the putting down. Okay, because I'm trying to think of what would when I'm like studying or reaching out. Yeah, I think you're right. It's the gaslighting, maybe the putting down or making feel less than if you don't. Yeah, it's so interesting because it's like I feel like on some level, this next level of like awakening and taking more responsibility or accountability, really, it's like you kind of were like going out with like a vulnerable belief, open heart, but then you have to kind of maybe it's also not rushing it. Like you said, don't put all your not rushing in. Like I remember sometimes when I was working with a therapist or a coach, sometimes I'd take something in and I'd write it down and then I'll say, okay, let me look at that, or I'll think about that, or I'll do, even if I would do what they would suggest or say, I kind of didn't just jump all in, I'm like, okay, let me, okay. All right. I'll look at that. Okay. Let me see.
I always do that. Like, that's what I've done. You'll say to me something and it'll trigger me, which you've triggered me in the past. Which poker. I'm a poker. I love to poke. Which makes me think like, okay, this is something I have to look at. And then I will, you plant a seed and it grows, but it grows in my own way.
Yes.
Within me. And then I'm like, I come back to you and I'm like, okay, I got triggered, but this is why I sat with it, because I've done the work to be able to process my own stuff. And then this is from that seed that you planted. This is what came out of it. And now I see what you were saying. Yeah. But it was like, but you let that seed grow in
your way, your plant, your flower. I think that is the difference. We don't want like automated, everybody is the same.
Yeah, nobody's the same. I mean, I've done over 1,600 births. I've never had the same birth twice. Yeah. I've never, it's like my clients, I treat them all as individuals, and you do that beautifully. And that's how you've taught me to work, because everybody that walks in front of me, there's no one size fits all. Yeah. And so if you go to somebody that's like, you have to do it this way, my way, is not the only way to do it.
Yeah. And admit you're wrong, because I do know, even psychically, I've had something sometimes I've said, or I'll be doing a reading and I'll get some psychic, like that usually is accurate. That's like a 97, 98% accurate. But sometimes I'll say the Michele part of me or the therapist part will come through and I'll have to say, oh, would be healthier there. But then I have to say, well, I don't know. Because I'm like, okay, this is a different person. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes a person will say, oh, I did this and this, you were right. But I didn't do that. And I'm like, okay, because that wasn't for me, or I did it this way or did it that way. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes I've said, oh yeah, you know what? I was wrong, because that's what I would have done. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so empowering. I think you hit upon something. You have to do it your way. Even if you get the message or the information or the training or whatever it is, you're the flower. It has to be grown your way and done the way that you have to bring it in and make it your own. You have to mold it to you. So I think that's a big red flag. If everybody has to wear the same color, if everybody has to do this, you have to. Not if you want to. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to look this way, do this way, answer this way. Culty. Red flag, red flag, red flag.
And I'm seeing this a lot in the mom world right now, where these influencers are like, you can only breastfeed your kid. You can only, if you don't co-sleep with your child, you're a bad mom. And then these moms are like, okay, I'm going to try this because this is what I should be doing because this influencer said I should do it. And then they're like, this didn't work for me. I feel like I'm a bad mom. I'm like, why are you have to do what's right for you and your child. And, if doing that, yes, this is important because of these reasons, but how can we find a way that works for you and your child, building that foundation, but also, in a way that you feel good. And, you're not this influencer. She's just showing you what she's doing. That doesn't mean you have to follow her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I hope that gets healed on a bigger level in the mainstream world, because that to me, because okay, here's an example. This just drove me up the wall. I had a laugh with a friend of mine the other day. I was telling him, so I'm watching YouTube and this commercial keeps coming on all the time. Do you know why celebrities have the whitest teeth? They don't just brush their teeth. This guy's going on and on and on. And then there's some weird toothbrush that looks like dentures with brushes at the end that they put up. And I'm sitting there and I'm laughing and I'm going, do you know why? Because they get veneers. They're not, most people have veneers in those fields. You know, it's like, no, they don't buy that little crappy toothbrush you're trying to sell through the QR code. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people at home are thinking that that it's their toothpaste or toothbrush, or they're getting whitening done? It's like, no, they have veneers. They're not even real teeth. They're veneers. Oh my God. I'm like, oh, please, people. And you know, you see it advertisers. It's like this kind of, I don't know. There's got to be a better way to sell something where you're being more honest. I don't know. Maybe it's common sense. I don't know, but it just, is that you in the background? I'm hearing lots of noise.
Oh, sorry, I was getting ice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let us know what you're getting so people hear. Like when I get my tea, which I'm drinking, my latest right now, Lori, the matcha, almond milk matcha with honey.
Oh, yum.
I don't know if it's my, I got that earthing bed sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm getting so much work and getting up so early, like a little spring chicken, little bunny in springtime, or my earthing sheet, or these matchas in the morning.
It's the matchas. I told you, caffeine.
Caffeine. I know. No, but I do think that earthing sheet I got, I think it really does. The first day that I used it, because Dale, one of our mutual friends, asked me about it.
Mm-hmm.
The first day I did it, I was so buzzy. I had so much energy at night. I couldn't get to sleep. And then the second day I could literally feel like this impulse, the bottom half of my body, like the electricity coming in because you plug it in. And I mostly had, and I was still kind of groggy when I got up, but at night I was feeling kind of awake and buzzy, but I could feel like an electrical pulse. You know, I could feel something going on at the bottom of my feet and up to about my knees. And I was thinking, oh, I don't know if this is going to work for me. But I gave it a chance. And I do think it helps to ground you, and it gets rid of the excess electricity, almost like when you're like rubbing your feet, you know, on the carpet, you get the static, because apparently we build up a lot of static electricity.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's my.
Oh, share the link.
Yeah, I'll give you the link. Oh, yeah. Put it in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll put it out there. Anybody else have anything they want to share on what we're talking about? I see Bonner Polly in the house. Sunray too on the.
I mean, I
love this
I could just go on about the gaslighting thing. The moment I started noticing that in people around me, I just start cutting them off now, because it just starts messing with my intuition. Like a lot of times I've been right, and these people have just made me feel wrong about something I was completely right about. And so I'm slowly learning how to decipher like what's bullshit or what's not. But it gets difficult with people getting in your head and trying to make it seem like you're wrong for you reacting from them doing something weird. You know, like people would do certain things that I was like, wait, that's not cool. And I call them out on it. And then all of a sudden I'm the problem. And it's like, that's not how this works.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's an important thing. And every time I've done that, more stuff came to me, like just money, just all kinds of stuff. It's just weird how it works. It's like those people are taking, like, even if I'm not directly giving those people money, it seems to take away from something that affects that and like other things. And so, yeah.
Well, and it stems from their like you know, they're threatened by you, knowing like, so they want
That's
to
what I'm
like,
starting to realize, like
yeah.
what you just
Yep.
said. Yeah, I'm starting to
Yeah.
realize that, and it's hard for me to understand that because I'm like, I'm always trying to be a team player. Like I'm not here to be better than anybody. It makes me feel uncomfortable. That's why I stay in the background a lot. But sometimes I look at some of these people that are so-called leaders, and I'm like, I know just as much of them. I could help people even better if I wanted to. I just don't put myself in that position because it's like I'm not perfect. I don't want to be looked up as some like guru or anything. I just want people to just really just empower themselves. So I kind of like do all my stuff from a distance, and then when people need help, like talking to me personally, I'll give good advice. But I don't know. Yeah, people. I'm starting to realize people feel threatened by me because I guess they think of me as a certain way because I'm not out in the front or the forefront. And so maybe they're judging me. And then when they get to see who I am, they feel threatened because they're like, oh, I thought he was just going to be like this or take whatever bullshit I give him. And then I end up calling them out on it. So anyway, I don't know. I hope I'm expressing it.
You're also monopoly Aquarius, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See that. Yeah.
What about why?
No, because they can have you can have that little calling out thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
people
God.
think I'm like sharp, like sometimes. And to be honest, it's only when people keep pushing my buttons. And I'm like trying to tell them, hey, I'm trying to show you something. We're supposed to be on a team. Like I had somebody that does really, really well, like way better than me, like in his career. And I had to tell him one time, like, bro, like, why are you calling me fam and doing this at the same time? Like, he was like kind of getting credit for my work. Not kind of, he did.
Mm-hmm.
So, and most people I know, they wouldn't even say anything. But for me, it's like, it's got to be about respect. And like, I don't care how big you are. It's like, first off, I'm doing so much of this shit and you're taking credit for it and you already well off. It's like of course I'm gonna say something. I don't understand other people how they're like scared to say something. And
That happens so much.
one good thing about this guy though that I appreciate more than some of these other people that came in my life that don't really do much, but they act all egotistical. This guy actually owned up to it and he's like, you know what? At that time I needed that. And he straight up told me, and I kind of just started respecting him more, even though it's like I still think about the things that he did, but I kind of give him more of a pass than other people that just, I don't know. It's just funny how some of the people that don't do as much, they're even more egotistical than the guys that I'm like talking about that actually, he's doing really well,
Yeah.
but he actually owned up to it.
Yeah,
And
that's good when they can. Lori, do you remember? I know you know this story because I told you, but years ago, I had somebody. Actually, they were supposed to be doing PR for me, and and then they were doing their own stuff on the side. Their mother has a PR company. Anyway, I see in a magazine that I got interviewed. They interviewed me in this magazine. They took my meditations as theirs.
Oh yeah, I
remember that story?
Uh-huh.
And it was so my voice, heart, lung, Arie. I mean, stuff that people don't say. And I was like, actually, this attorney said you should sue the magazine, sue them. And I said, well, let me just talk. And so first they didn't admit it. And then I kept pressuring. And finally this chick, and I'm like, why? I go, first of all, you don't do meditations at all. You're not a meditation teacher. You don't do them in this way. And I go, and it's so my voice. It's even my cadence was coming through in the article. And she said, finally, she apologized. And I, because I couldn't understand. I go, why would you, I go, did you think you'd get away? How come you did this? She goes, I don't know. I just wanted to be more in the magazine, and kind of like, I don't know, like shine in that way, I guess. And I was like,
she did that to me too.
Oh, she did.
And she did it to a friend of mine, but
oh God, okay. I felt so special. I guess I wasn't that special.
She did it to me too. And I actually said to her, I actually called her and said, this looks familiar. And I was like, I everything you have, I have a whole copy of it at my house, and it's my words. And I said, if you ever do this again, my lawyer is gonna sue you.
Nice.
And
Right.
she was like, I'm sorry, I'll take it down. And it was like in like Women's Health magazine or something, or Fit Pregnancy.
Wow.
And I was like,
Well, mine, they did a retraction. The magazine, they were mortified. And my agent was, I'm not agent, but the lawyer is like, you guys should sue, and went out. And I didn't, but they did do and the retraction, by the way, is such a small, I don't even remember what page it was on. The meditations and article are by Michele, and here's the website. And I was like, okay, gang, it's so tiny. And by the way, she had dialogue boxes. They put the meditation by her, which would have been such great promotion for me, in these with the line around it, like a square, highlighting. I didn't know she did it to you and someone else too. Oh my God. I guess if you're like that, you're just like that. I guess you're just.
I think it's the nonsense of self. Like she just wanted.
Oh my God.
She was like, oh, this is working for this person, so I'm going to be this now.
Yeah. I mean, God. I was like, and it was so not her. I'm like, which is also what you do. It's so not like her also. But that, oh my God, posers. But I kind of look like the gaslight, the whole thing. When I see that kind of stuff, it actually doesn't trigger me anymore, because I just look at that person and I'm like, okay, they're so wounded. I don't care how much, whatever they have in their life, it looks so great. They're just so wounded. They're acting out of their wound, and they don't have a sense of self. And I know that when you get older and close to end of life, those people do not do well. And you know what I mean? It's like you can only pose for so long until it catches up to you. It just does. You know, one of my teachers used to say, just imagine what they're thinking in their head. And it's true. It's probably so horrible in their mind, you know, to be able to, you know, do that or live that kind of gaslighty lifestyle.
They feel so shitty about themselves that they have to make people feel. They have to make them feel better by making somebody else try to make somebody else smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. They take the light. Sunray, good to see you. Have a great rest of your day. Also, I like the peace sign. I love the chat here. Peace out. Oh, thank you. He said, thank you for the soul-inspired conversation. Peace. See you all next week. See you. Maru, thank you for liking the show. Guys, have any questions for Lori or me, let me know in the chat or call in. Okay, Maru, thank you. Thank all of you. Yeah. Lori, what about people, a couple things that want to work with you, but also that want to get into doulaing. Would you call it doulaing, being a doula?
Yeah. Well, I have a website, Lori at LoriBregman.com, or my Instagram's at LBreggy, LBreggy. But I have a doula coaching program that I'm doing right now. It's so fun because these women are so passionate about stepping into this work, and it's kind of like, it's called Doula Your Way, which is again supporting people in who they are authentically and helping them find their own authentic way of doing things. And it's different than any program out there because it's not like, I have no intention of trying to make mini-me's. I just want to take them as individuals and just create this kind of a unicorn of a doula that's one of a kind.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about temperament? Because sometimes people I've worked with and they're like, oh, I want to be a coach, or I want to do this, or I'm going to be a therapist. And I can just tell, no way. And then later they decide, no, that's not for me once they get into it. But like, what is best? What's good about it? What's the good temperament? I mean, what do you like about it? But also, I would say also, what makes a good doula?
Not projecting, really like being able to read their clients and supporting them in who they are, not trying to make them something they're not, or swaying them to like do it a certain way that you think is right. I think you need a lot of compassion, a lot of patience, a lot of, you have to be nurturing,
but patient, because you're up sometimes at all hours or going, go, right?
Yeah.
With the birth.
Yeah. And it's also like being flexible. I think being flowy because like I never know when I go to bed at night if I'm going to wake up in my bed. So, you can't try to control, because you can't control birth. You can't control when these babies decide to come.
Right.
It's just,
And you're on call with what you do.
yeah. Yes. I'm on call all the time. But that's changing because I'm working on some other stuff. So,
but I know sometimes you get that call, then you got to be there. Are you there are you there the whole birth?
Yes.
Oh, you are. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm there. Like I've been with people for 5 hours. I've been with people for 52 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of, you have to have flexibility. You can't, if you're trying to, like, I have had some doulas that I've mentored that were like, I can only work between these hours. And they're trying to control too much, and it just didn't work for them because you can't, it's really, I don't feel like this is, it's more of a calling, to be a doula. And like you really have to be like in passion and purpose with it, because it's I wouldn't look at it as, I mean, it is my job, it is my career, but it definitely, you know what I mean? It's as beautiful as it is welcoming life into this world. It's also can be heartbreaking in some ways too, with some of the stuff you see.
Yeah.
That's
what I think. That's what's similar to what I do. I do feel it's a calling. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of rubs me the wrong way, in a way of how that's so many people are getting, because I think this kind of work, it calls you. You might be drawn to it, but you don't kind of go into it as a quote unquote profession. I think that happens later on. But I like what you said about calling, because that's very much, I think, with this kind of work, you either get that call to really do it, and then things tend to fall into place. If it's really your calling, stuff just falls into place. I think that's one of the things doing this kind of work.
I think I've had a lot of people that I've mentored, they're like, I want to be a doula, it just looks so cool. And I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
well, yeah, it is cool, but it's also like,
there's cool parts. Yes, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, it's really a gift. I think it's a calling. I love that, what you said. It's a gift. I think there's certain things that people are more gifted in. Sue, see you next week too. Sue's in the chat.
Yeah.
I love this, Lori. It's been great. Got to come on the Awakening Conversations also we'll have to do on YouTube as well. This is a lot of good info you gave. A lot of good insight and info about discernment and being empowered, whether in life or I think with the birth, and I still love that, with the birth canal coming in the same way you go out. It's true. There's only one portal.
It's the same entry. I mean, you can really feel it. You can feel that energy in birth. I felt it with my dad passing, but it was the same. I was like, I remember his care providers were like, do you do nursing? Like, why are you so good at this? I'm like, well, I'm just doing what I do with my clients. Like, it's like, like, it felt so like natural to do, because it's like, comforting him and holding his hand and, letting him know that he's, that just being there with him, holding space. It's kind of, making sure he's comfortable. Like it's the same thing as, it was definitely similar.
Yeah.
And it was very natural. So death doula is so cool. It's just, I like to play in the other realm.
Yeah.
The other end of the portal.
Really that the birth helped someone in that. I have in the dying, the death aspect, as a shaman and a bereavement counselor, but I never thought of it. But you're so right. It's the same. You're coming in the same way you're going out. It's that portal, that highway, that opening.
I heard once somebody say that, like, when you die, and it's interesting because you put your hand, if you've seen people, they like raise their hands, like they're like almost like they're putting their arms out, stretching towards something. Some people do. And they say that when you leave your body, it's like blissful. And coming into the body, the baby does the same thing. They put their arms out when they come into the world. And they say coming into their body is a little bit more traumatic because it's like they get like, it's like coming into gravity and getting hit, and then they have to breathe, and it's cold, and it's, we try to make that, I try at least to bring consciousness into their entry to make it a little bit more of a smoother entry. But it's interesting because it is the same way you go in is the same way you go out. And you really see it because, I remember a client of mine, her mother died. She goes, Lori, she put her arms up like my son did when he came into the world. I'm like, yeah, same portal. The way they come in is the way they go out. And she's like, it was this, they mimicked each other. And I'm like, yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that visual too. What a great visual. It's a good thing to look at. Well, we're winding out. Anything you want people to know about? You're at you're at LoriBregman.com, right?
Yeah, LoriBregman.com, at LBreggy on Instagram. Yeah, that's it. I have a doula mentorship program and a Rooted for Life program, which is about creating a healthy foundation for mom and baby to grow from. And that's a virtual program. And that's what I'm doing. And I have an online mom to be program. That's a class, and my in-person doula stuff.
Cool. And your books, of course. Your books,
my book.
Doula card. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of those. Mindful Mom to Be, Mama Stay, and your doula deck. Yeah. Very cool. Well, don't be a stranger. Come on more often. I had so much fun.
Yeah, anytime.
In this conversation. I think it was fun. It was great.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Lori. Until next time. Big hug.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right, gang. Wow. Love that. Thanks to everybody that in the chat and everyone that also called in. I don't know if you say called in or click the link, whatever the heck. By the way, I want to let everyone know, all caught up with all. So some of you have DM'd me, some of you have emailed that you're not getting the shows on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, etc., etc. That's changed. I work together. Jacqueline has helped me on the YouTube side, which we will also be having some awakening conversations, a little bit different format over there as well. But right now, we're moving the replays over there. Obviously, they'll be on Podbean and then all podcast outlets. But anyway, I had to transfer the feed. So you might get, some of you that are subscribed, you might get multiple. I don't know how it goes. I don't know if every time I upload and then publish, you might be getting multiple episodes in your inbox. But those of you that have been trying to make the show, or and I will DM, those of you that DM'd me, I'll let you know, or I'll put it in the Awakenings. Join me on the Awakenings group on Instagram or on Patreon. If you're part of the Patreon community, I will also let you know there that now everything will be going out to the mass distribution and published in mass distribution on all the podcast platforms like Awakenings was before. There was just some stuff I had to do on the back end because Blog Talk is no more, and I had to not only transfer the feed, I had to find the podcast identification number. There was a whole behind the scenes process to do that, and then edit, because Blog Talk Radio did the intro automatically. Now that has to be done intro and outro manually. I'm doing as little of editing as possible because now everybody's doing this, but I've loved this since 2008 when we've been doing Awakenings. I like things, more relaxed. I don't want an overly polished. I appreciate very polished podcasts, overproduced, highly produced, sometimes overproduced. If it's storytelling or something like that, but conversation, I like that people popping in, somebody's getting their tea, you hear getting my tea. Lori had birds in the background. Although I did have to edit last week. This is just a side note. When you guys are getting on, make sure you mute yourself, because there was one podcast episode or live. I had to do quite a lot of editing because in the background there was someone was having construction work done, and there was all this hammering and like jackhammering. It was all this noise, and it's okay in the live, but I thought, oh my God, anybody listening to the replay? Because when I listened to it, it was like quiet. I'd had the sound bowls that I was doing for you guys, so I had to take that out, and then there was all this hammering and stuff going on. So anyway, just to be mindful of that when you're getting on, just mute and tell, especially if it's noisy in the background. But I don't mind a little jingle tingle here and there with something. You're getting your tea or coffee, or you're moving around a little bit, because I want it to be just like we're, chatting on the phone, kind of like a FaceTime without the face. But YouTube, what we will be doing, we'll be doing some video episodes as well. But right now, I'd love if you would subscribe to the Awakenings with Michele Michele on YouTube. There's a section for Awakening Conversations that will be, uploading more to. I think there's 4 episodes there. And then all the replays, again, will be here on Podbean, other podcast platforms, and then also on YouTube as well. So if you could, guys, like the show, share the show, do whatever, pass it on so more people, like-minded individuals, we can start really converging. And I love that people popping on and talking about what they're going through and what they're doing and how they're managing and asking questions. Yes, get readings, ask me astrological questions. I love all that, but I also love hearing what you're about, what you're doing, your insights, what you're doing in the world, your creative projects, your issues, what you're going through, how you're solving it, how you're doing in this, navigating this, soul path. So that brings me a lot of joy to hear also from you. Let's see, what else did I say? Okay, so I want everyone to know things are getting in the flow with the, I had to edit by myself like 12 episodes, I think it was. So anyway, I love doing that, but I want help doing it because it's not a good use of my time, even though I love it. It's just there's other things I need to do project-wise that I always say somewhat day I'll learn more of that, editing and all that, especially video and sound editing. What else did I want to say? Okay, remember this Saturday, we got a happening with Grace O, who is a sound healer and does transmissions. We're going to be doing some inner plane journey work and working specifically a lot with the astral. That's a biggie right now, working with the astral. So it's journey beyond form into soul alignment. And we're really going to be working etherically, energetically, and specifically a little bit on the Akashic, but the astral plane. So if that's something that interests you, you can, did I put it? You can find out more about it on my Instagram story or my bio. We'll have a link as well. If you're on Patreon, I'm going to re-upload about it, but there is a link there. Also, let me put a link in the chat for more info and to reserve your place, your space. What else? Come join me on Patreon. There's a free tier. You still get a lot of great info. There's other tiers. If you want more soul connecting and soul support. And what else? Oh, Soul Insights and Tarot. Let's see. So this Saturday, I'm putting it in the chat. Yeah. All right, gang. Lots of love and light to you. Big hug. And thanks for being here. Thanks for really sharing and showing up. And like I said, if you feel a resonance and you think someone might be a good fit for this show, podcast, live, email me at awakeningspodcast@gmail.com with any guest suggestions, topic suggestions. You can always email me or DM me if you want me to answer anything on air or you have any questions. Otherwise, you can always come in the chat or call in. All right. Till next time, continue to shine your light, share your light and your insights, and keep the conversation going.
I'm getting woke and staying woke.
Awakenings broadcasts every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows available on iTunes. For continued awakened conversations and insights, join the Awakenings group on Facebook. And check out Michele's blog at soulplayground.com. And keep awake. Awakenings broadcasts every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows